Picture a franchise at a tipping point. Fans on edge after a roller coaster season, headlines filled with speculation, and a front office ready to pull the trigger on bold moves to reshape the future. That's the mood right now in Vancouver, where the Canucks enter the 2025 offseason with more questions than answers. Management is unpredictable, the core is under review, and the pressure to win is suffocating. But while everyone is talking about first-round picks and big-name prospects, what about the overlooked players and assets, the hidden gems, whose value might just change the market? In this exclusive breakdown, we'll spotlight 5 current Canucks whose trade worth has been quietly underestimated, and explain why they could be the key to unlocking Vancouver's next era. Beyond the usual suspects, Vancouver's trade strategy gets complicated. As the dust settles from a disappointing 2024-25 campaign, it's clear the Canucks can't simply stand pat. GM Patrick Allvin is known for pulling off surprise deals, keeping both fans and rival GMs guessing. While trade rumors around Vancouver's 15th overall pick and top prospect Tom Willander have dominated local media, those moves alone won't reshape the roster. Success in this offseason will require flexibility and a willingness to consider moving assets that many believe are safe. The best trades often come from players whose talents or contract situations are misunderstood or undervalued across the league. Vancouver, like any contender, must dig deep, and that means turning every stone in a roster far more rich in underrated pieces than most realize. Connor Garland, the model of consistency. First up, let's talk about Connor Garland. While he's rarely the centerpiece of hockey rumors, Garland's impact and reliability have quietly made him one of Vancouver's key secondary threats. Over 4 seasons, he's played between 77 and 82 games each year, scored between 17 and 20 goals per campaign, and tallied 46 to 52 points, a level of production matched by only a handful of true second-line wingers. Garland's 194 points since coming to Vancouver make him the 104th highest scoring forward in the league during that stretch, an impressive feat given his role. But the numbers don't tell the whole story. His relentless compete level, skilled puck protection in tight spaces, and natural agitation constantly challenge defenders. And with a cap hit of just $4.95 million, soon to be league average, Garland is arguably one of the most cost-effective contracts for a dependable scorer. The catch? He enters the final year of his deal this summer as a pending UFA. The Canucks must weigh his value as a trade chip versus his importance to their own depth. If Garland wants to return to the US, as rumored, it might be savvy for Vancouver to move him before the 2026 trade deadline, perhaps avoiding the drawn-out drama that surrounded Brock Boeser. On the other hand, if they can re-sign him, they'll keep one of the league's steadiest producers for a relative bargain. Philip Ronic, one of the NHL's rarest commodities. If there's a player whose market value could explode overnight, it's Philip Ronic. Right-shot defensemen who can anchor a top pair are the rarest asset in hockey. There are fewer than 30 in the league. For Vancouver, Ronic is not just good, he's essential. The fall-off behind him is significant, with only a declining Tyler Myers and young Victor Mancini in the wings. Signing top prospect Tom Willander could change the defensive pecking order, but make no mistake, if Vancouver ever dangles Ronic on the trade block, offers will be staggering. It's worth remembering that just to acquire Ronic, the Canucks parted with an unprotected first and a second-round pick. Since then, his defensive responsibility and productivity have only increased, and his recent extension, which lasts until 2032, will look even more team-friendly as the salary cap climbs. With top RDs nearly impossible to acquire, Ronic's trade value is probably close to what it cost to get him. In other words, a haul that most teams simply can't afford. For Vancouver, selling high would be a gamble, but it would reset the blueprint for years to come. Niels Hoglander. More than meets the eye on paper, Niels Hoglander's numbers dipped this season, leading some fans to write him off as a regression. But the reality is more complicated. Coming off a 24-goal season in 2023-24, a downturn was almost expected, especially since his previous scoring relied on a shooting streak that likely wouldn't last. However, Hoglander quietly elevated other aspects of his game, setting a career high in assists, 17, and earning greater trust from coach Rick Tocchet. Hoglander is heading for a raise, reportedly up to $3 million, Not much in the context of cap inflation, and likely far below the deals we'll see for similar young talent league-wide. While he may not fetch a major return as the centerpiece of a deal, his salary and upside make him a perfect sweetener in a blockbuster trade, addressing cap math for both clubs and delivering the kind of value contenders covet. If the Canucks want to swing big this summer, watch for Hoglander to be included in a package that could help land a game-changer. Thatcher Demco, the risk and the reward goaltending. Always the most confusing market in hockey, and right now, it's especially volatile. There's a severe shortage of quality starters across the NHL, and the current free agent crop offers slim pickings. For teams trying to compete, settling for a stopgap goaltender is a risky proposition. Enter Thatcher Demco. Sure, his injury history is well known, but don't forget, he's just one season removed from Vezina Trophy contention, with only a year left on a highly affordable contract. When healthy, Demko has shown he can steal games and seasons, and his late-season return this year reminded everyone how high his ceiling is. With backup Artur Silovs under contract, the Canucks could, in theory, explore dealing Demko for a hefty package, potentially starting with a first-round pick and going higher from there. Teams in desperate need of stability in net might be willing to gamble, especially given the alternatives. For Vancouver, turning Demko into multiple assets could provide both immediate and future returns, but it's a decision that requires nerves of steel. The 2026 first-round pick, a calculated gamble. Amid uncertainty, if you want a wild card, look no further than Vancouver's 2026 first-round pick. With morale low and narratives of impending doom swirling around the franchise, many outsiders believe the Canucks are headed for a reset, which only increases the perceived value of their future picks. From Vancouver's perspective, trading this pick could backfire if things go south, but it might also be the ticket to adding a star right now. Rival GMs will salivate at the possibility that the Canucks spiral, turning that 2026 pick into a lottery selection. Vancouver, meanwhile, can control their destiny and use the asset to address a critical need if the right player becomes available. The risk is real, but so is the potential upside. Canucks management must decide if sacrificing a bit of the future for a bigger, immediate win is worth it. And if they do, it will mean they see themselves as contenders on the rise, rather than a team doomed to rebuild. Underestimated no more. Vancouver's summer of opportunity. This is a pivotal moment for the Canucks. With the hockey world bracing for headline-grabbing moves, it's the quieter assets, the overlooked talents and strategic chips, who might be the true catalysts for change. Whether it's Garland's steady scoring, Ronic's rare blue-line prowess, Hoglander's untapped upside, Demko's high-stakes gamble, or the intrigue of a 2026 first-round pick, Vancouver's path forward is paved with possibilities that most of the league has yet to fully appreciate. Who do you think is the Canucks' most underrated trade piece? What move should management prioritize to spark the next great Vancouver team? Let's keep this conversation rolling. Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this in-depth look, hit that like button to get more exclusive Canucks breakdowns and NHL stories every week. Thanks for watching, and get ready, Vancouver's summer is about to get interesting.